The room was dark. The air was heavy with heat, smoke, and strange smells. Bright lights flashed from above. Alien voices shouted in different tones, some hissing, some growling. This was not a place for the weak. It was a slave auction, inside. A large metal cage stood a young human girl. She had long dark hair, tied in a messy braid. Her clothes were torn and her face was dirty, but her eyes were sharp. Full of fire. Her name was Lyra. She was 19, and she was the last human in this auction. Aliens from all parts of the galaxy were gathered here. Some had 3 eyes, others had tails. Some floated in air, some crawled on the ground. All of them were watching Lyra. She was something rare, something valuable. Human female, the announcer shouted in a robotic voice. Strong, young, intelligent, last of her kind. Bidding starts at 1,000 credits. The crowd went wild. 1,500. A fat green alien shouted, 2,000. Another yelled. Lyra stood silently, watching them with cold eyes. She had learned not to cry anymore. Crying didn't help. She whispered to herself, I'm not your pet. I'm not your slave. Suddenly, a new figure stepped forward. Tall, silent, wrapped in a black cloak. His face was hidden behind a silver mask. 2 glowing blue eyes shined through the mask. He raised his hand slowly. 10,000 credits, the announcer said, surprised. The crowd went silent. No one dared to bid higher. Sold? The announcer said quickly, to the masked one. Lyra's heart sank. They opened her cage. 2 guards grabbed her arms. She tried to resist. Let me go, she shouted. I'm not your pet. I'm not your... But her words were lost as they pushed her forward toward her new owner. The masked alien didn't say a word. He simply turned and walked away. Lyra followed, her wrists now locked in glowing cuffs. A small flying robot hovered beside them. They walked through a long metal corridor to a ship. It looked like a small war cruiser. Sleek, dark, and silent, the doors opened with a soft hiss. Lyra expected a cold prison cell inside. Chains, maybe. A shock chair, but what she saw surprised her. The room was clean, warm. There was a soft bed in the corner, a table with fresh fruit and water. The walls had soft lights that changed color slowly. This wasn't a prison. It looked like a guest room. What is this? She said quietly. The masked alien still didn't speak. He motioned to the cuffs. A small beep, then the cuffs unlocked and fell off. Lyra stared at him, shocked. Why? What do you want from me? He didn't answer. Instead, he pointed to the bed, then walked out and the door closed. She sat on the bed. It was soft. Too soft. She didn't sleep. She stayed awake the whole night, thinking. The next day, a robotic voice spoke from the ceiling. You are safe. You are free to eat, sleep, or explore this room. Do not try to escape. The robot brought her food. She didn't eat it. What if it was drugged? Time passed slowly. She tried to look for cameras. Maybe he was watching her. Why wasn't he locking her up like the others? Who was this masked alien? At night, she couldn't take it anymore. She had to know. She carefully opened the door. It wasn't locked. She crept through the silent hallway. She found a large door slightly open. It was his room. She stepped inside, heart beating fast. There was a desk, a chair, and a small glowing screen. On the desk was a picture. A human soldier stood with a young girl on his shoulder. The man looked brave, strong, and happy. Lyra's breath caught. It was her father. Before she could think, she heard a voice behind her. You shouldn't be here. She turned quickly. The masked alien was standing there watching her. How? Do you have this? She asked, holding up the photo. The alien removed his mask. Underneath was a strange but gentle face. Not human, but not scary either. My name is Threx, he said slowly. Your father once saved my life. I owed him a debt. Lyra's hands shook. You knew him? Yes, Threx replied. And now I protect you. Lyra didn't know what to say. She looked down at the photo again, then back at Threx. Her heart was full of questions, but her voice was silent. Outside, in the cold dark of space, stars continued to shine. But inside the ship, something warmer had just begun. A mystery, a connection, and a story no one could expect. Asterisk Lyra opened her eyes slowly. She didn't remember falling asleep. The bed was soft. The room was quiet. She sat up quickly. No chains. No cuffs, no guards. This wasn't normal. She was a human slave. She had been bought by a strange alien, but instead of pain, there was peace. She walked around the room. The lights followed her gently, changing color from blue to warm gold. The floor was smooth. The walls were silver and soft to the touch. There was a small table with food, again fresh fruit, soft bread, and clean water. She hadn't eaten since the auction. But still, she didn't trust it. What do you want from me? She whispered. To the empty room, a small floating robot buzzed in. It looked like a metal orb with blinking lights. Good morning, Lyra, it said politely. You are free to eat. Free to move inside guest quarters. Please do not be afraid. Lyra frowned. Where is he? Where's Threx? He is on the bridge, the robot said. Do you have a request? She didn't answer. The robot floated silently, then exited. Lyra looked at the food again. Her stomach growled. She picked up a small red fruit and smelled it. It was sweet, safe, just a bite, she thought. The taste exploded in her mouth. She ate slowly, carefully. After a few minutes, she felt a little more human again, but that made her angry. Why was he feeding her? Why not beat her like the others? Why no questions, no orders? What kind of master was this? She decided to explore. The door opened with a soft hiss. No locks, no traps. She walked down a hallway with silver walls. Soft music played from somewhere calm, peaceful. At the end of the corridor, she found a window. She gasped. Outside, stars sparkled in all directions. Nebulas glowed like fire in the dark. Giant planets passed slowly in the distance. The view was beautiful, but her heart ached. She remembered Earth, the sky. Her family, her father, was he really connected to Threx? Could it be true? She shook her head. She needed answers. She found the control room. It was large, round, and quiet. Screens showed maps, data, and ship stats. Threx stood at the center, his back turned. She stepped in carefully. You don't keep me in chains, she said. Why? Threx didn't turn. You are not my slave? Then what am I? He turned slowly, his face calm, his blue eyes glowing softly. I told you, he said. I owed your father my life. That doesn't explain this, she said, waving her hand around. The food, the bed, the freedom. This is not how aliens treat humans. Threx sat down in the command chair. Do you remember the name Captain Elon Mercer? Lyra's eyes widened. That was my father. He saved my life during the Battle of Red Drift. He could have killed me. But he didn't. He helped me escape. We spoke. He told me about Earth, about you. Lyra's voice shook. But Earth is gone, yes, Threx said quietly. Because others wanted your kind destroyed. They feared humans. Feared what you could become. But not you? She asked. No, he replied. I admired your strength. Your will. There was a long silence, and then she asked, Why buy me then? To protect you, he said. You were in danger. From what? Threx looked at her seriously. From those who want your DNA. You are rare, special. You carry something inside you, something they will kill for. Lyra stepped back. What are you talking about? I cannot say yet, he said, but I promise you, I will not harm you. That night, Lyra sat by the window again, thinking. She watched the stars drift by. Threx wasn't like the others. He was different, gentle, calm. He didn't yell. Didn't chain her, but could she trust him? She remembered something her father once told her. Sometimes enemies show more honor than friends. Maybe this was one of those times. Later, she walked back to her room. The door closed behind her. She looked at the bed. It looked warm, safe. Still, she couldn't sleep. She sat in the corner instead, knees pulled to her chest. Her mind was full of questions, fear, confusion, but deep inside, a small spark of curiosity had started. Who was Threx, really? What did he mean by something inside her? And why did she feel like her story was only just beginning? Lyra couldn't sleep. The stars outside the window moved slowly, but her thoughts moved faster. Her mind was full of questions. Who exactly was Threx? Why did he say her DNA was important? Why was she really here? She got out of bed? No chains, no guards? It still felt strange. She tiptoed down the silent hallway again, this time not afraid, just curious. The ship was quiet. Just a soft hum beneath her feet. She passed the control room, but it was empty. Then she saw a small open door glowing with blue light. Inside was a library, or something like it, shelves of digital files, screens with moving words and pictures. A glowing orb hovered at the center, projecting images into the air. She stepped inside. The door closed behind her. The orb flickered. Then it spoke in a soft, female voice. "Welcome, Lyra Mercer?" She froze. "How? Do you know my name?" she asked. The orb spun slowly. A screen lit up with a photo. It was her, as a child, sitting on her father's shoulders, smiling. "I am connected to the personal logs of Captain Island Mercer, former leader of Earth's resistance fleet." The orb replied, "My father?" she whispered. The orb glowed brighter. "Would you like to see his last message?" Lyra nodded, heart pounding. A hologram flickered to life. Her father's face appeared, tired but strong. His voice was clear. "Lyra, if you're watching this, it means I didn't make it. But you did, and that's what matters. The war is over. Earth is lost, but not all hope. You carry inside you something more than blood. You are part of the Genesis line, a project to restart humanity clean, stronger, free from past mistakes. Others will want to use you, clone you, control you. Trust no one. Unless his name is Threx." The message ended. Lyra stood, frozen. Genesis line? Restart humanity? Her? The door behind her opened. Threx stood there. "You found it?" he said. Lyra turned slowly. "He trusted you." "I trusted him first," Threx replied. "He saved my life when he had no reason to." "You knew about this?" "About me? Yes, your father told me everything before he died. He asked me to protect you and keep your existence a secret." Lyra stepped closer, her hands shaking. "Is it true? Am I really some kind of experiment?" "You're not an experiment," Threx said gently. "You're a beginning. The last human born through natural and enhanced genetics. You are pure." "Pure?" she said bitterly. "I feel anything but pure. I was sold like a thing in a market." Threx lowered his head. "That's why I took you. I didn't know they had found you. I arrived too late. But I got you out." Lyra looked into his glowing eyes. He wasn't lying. She could feel it, but that didn't make it easier. They sat in silence in the library room. Lyra stared at the glowing photo of her father. "I barely remember him," she said softly. "He left when I was little." "He didn't want to," Threx replied. "But he had to fight. He fought for a future. For me?" "For all of you," Threx said. "But in the end, only you survived." Lyra wiped her eyes quickly. "I don't want to be some special project. I just want to be normal." "You can't be normal, Lyra. Not anymore." "Then what now?" she asked. Threx stood slowly. "Now we hide. The ones who want you will not stop." "Who are they?" Threx hesitated. "They are the Union of Species. They control the galaxy now. They want to build a new race, using your DNA." Lyra's stomach turned. "They want to make copies of me?" "Yes, obedient copies, controlled humans. Slaves who look like you, but without a soul." She stood up. "We can't let them." Threx nodded. "That's why we're going to an old place your father told me about. A hidden lab on the moon called Solara 9. It holds answers." Lyra took a deep breath. Everything had changed. She was no longer just a lost girl in space. She was something bigger, a key, a threat, a hope. And now she wasn't alone. Back in her room, Lyra finally sat on the bed. She looked at the photo of her father again, then at the stars. "I don't know what I am," she whispered, "but I'm going to find out." She pulled the blanket over her and lay back. The ship hummed softly, flying through darkness. Outside, stars watched silently. Inside, a human spark had just awakened. Asterisk. The stars outside looked peaceful, but inside the ship, danger was coming. Lyra woke up from a strange dream. She was running, something chasing her through fire and smoke. When she opened her eyes, her heart was racing. She sat up, breathing fast. Something felt wrong. Down in the ship's control room, Threx stood still, watching the radar. A red dot blinked on the screen. It was small, fast, and closing in. He narrowed his glowing eyes. They found us. The ship's AI spoke calmly. Unidentified craft on intercept course. Estimated contact in 9 minutes. Threx turned. Wake her up, we're not safe. The lights in Lyra's room turned red. Alert, the robot voice said. Prepare for emergency jump. Lyra grabbed her boots, quickly putting them on. Her heart beat faster with every second. The door opened before she could move. Threx stood there. Come with me, he said. What's going on? We're being hunted. In the control room, the screen now showed the enemy ship clearly. It was shaped like a blade, black, thin, deadly. Lyra stared at it. Who is it? Threx's voice was cold. A bounty hunter? One of the best. Bounty? For me? Yes, your DNA is worth millions. And some would kill just to own a piece of you. Lyra looked down. She suddenly felt small but not weak. What do we do now? Threx pressed a button. We run. The ship jolted forward. Stars stretched and blurred as they jumped into faster-than-light travel, but the enemy ship followed. Lyra held on to the wall as the ship shook. This one's fast, Threx muttered. Lyra gritted her teeth. Then we'll have to be smarter. Minutes later, they dropped out of light speed near an asteroid belt. Huge floating rocks drifted in space like frozen giants. Threx turned the ship sharply. We hide here. The ship slid between the rocks, carefully weaving through. Why is he still following us? Lyra asked. Because he's not after money. He wants glory, Threx said. He's called Vornix. Half machine, half predator. He collects trophies. Trophies? Lyra asked. Skulls, Threx replied flatly. Human skulls. Suddenly, the ship was hit. Boom, sparks flew. The ship spun. We've been marked, the AI said. Tracking beacon detected on hull. He tagged us, Threx growled. He'll follow no matter where we go. Lyra looked around. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was calm. Can we fight? Threx looked at her. Not directly, but we can trick him. He pressed more buttons. There's a mining outpost nearby, abandoned. We'll go there. What's the plan? Lyra asked. We set a trap? The outpost floated in the dark like a ghost. Broken walls. Dead machines. No lights. The ship landed silently. Inside, it smelled like rust and silence. They stepped out. Threx handed Lyra a small round device. Press this when I say, he told her. She nodded. What does it do? It changes everything. They move fast, place charges, set fake signals. Hid in shadows. The plan was simple. Make the hunter believe she was alone and injured. Then trap him. Time passed slowly. Every second felt like an hour. Then dash footsteps. Metal. On metal. He was here. Theo, our Nix. He walked like a beast. Tall, heavy. One red eye glowed. The other side of his face was metal. His voice was deep and cold. Human girl. Come out. Lyra held her breath behind the wall. Vornix stepped closer, scanning. I can smell you. You're afraid. She stepped out. I'm not afraid, she sighed. Vornix laughed. You should be. He aimed his weapon. Now. She pressed the device. Suddenly, the floor glowed. Traps activated? Electric nets dropped from the ceiling. Vornix roared, but he was fast. Too fast. He broke free, charged toward her. Threx appeared from behind and fired. Boom. A direct hit. Vornix flew back, crashing into a wall. Smoke filled the room. Lyra ran too. Threx, is he dead? Threx shook his head. No, but he won't follow now. Behind them, Vornix's body sparked. Half of his mask had melted. His red eye flickered. He spoke slowly, like a promise. This isn't over. They ran back to the ship and launched. The outpost exploded behind them. Lost in fire and dust. Safe. For now, back in her room, Lyra sat quietly. Her hands still shook. She had faced death. Real death, but she hadn't run. Threx entered. You did. Well, he said, I was scared. Good. Brave people feel fear. And still choose to fight. Lyra looked at him. What happens next? We go to Solara 9, he said. The lab your father left behind. The place where the truth waits. She Nodded. Something inside her had changed. She was no longer just a target. She was ready to fight back. The ship floated through space like a ghost, silent, focused, heading toward a forgotten place, Solara 9. Lyra stood near the window, staring at the large silver moon ahead. It looked lifeless, like a rock hanging in space. But Threx said something important was hidden there, something her father left behind. She wasn't sure if she was ready. Threx stood beside her. This is where your father worked in secret during the final days of the war. Lyra turned to him. What did he do here? Threx didn't answer right away. You'll see, he said. The ship landed in a deep crater on Solara 9. A hidden door opened in the rock, revealing a dark tunnel. Dust floated in the air. Lights flickered on as they entered. Everything was quiet, dead quiet. They moved through long metal halls. Old Earth symbols were painted on the walls, faded, broken. Is this a human base? Lyra asked. Yes, Threx said, one of the last. They reached a door with a hand scanner. Threx placed his hand on it. The screen blinked red. Access denied. He looked at Lyra. Try your hand, he said. Lyra hesitated, then placed her palm on the screen. The door clicked open. Inside was a lab, frozen in time, tables covered in dust, screens dark. Vials and machines lined the walls. At the center was a glowing white pod. Lyra stepped closer. Inside the pod was a copy of her. She gasped. It was her same face, same hair, same scar on the eyebrow, but it wasn't breathing. It wasn't alive. What is this? She whispered. Threx stood behind her, silent. This, he said slowly, is your backup? My what? You were part of Project Genesis, he said. Your father created you in this lab, half natural, half enhanced. Lyra stepped back, shaking. You're saying I wasn't born? You were, Threx said, but not like others. You were grown, carried in a synthetic womb with your father's DNA and the best parts of humanity's code. I'm not real? She asked, voice small. Threx walked to her side. You are real, more real than any of your copies. She looked around. Now she saw more pods, some empty, some broken. One still glowed but was cracked open. Something escaped. Lyra moved to a terminal and pressed a button. The screen lit up. Old data scrolled across, then a message appeared. Genesis 01 active. That's you, Threx said. She scrolled down. Another line appeared. Genesis 02 escaped. Her eyes widened. There's another one of me out there? Threx's voice was serious. Yes, a second unit was created, smarter, faster, stronger, but unstable. It escaped before your father could stop it. Where did it go? No one knows. But if the Union finds it first, they will use her to start their own version of humanity, one made to obey. Lyra stepped away from the screen. Her legs felt weak. All this time, she thought she was just surviving. Now, she realized she was something much more. She found a small recording device on a nearby table. She pressed play. Her father's voice echoed in the room. This project, it's dangerous, but I had no choice. Humanity needed a future. Lyra is not a weapon, she's a hope. But Genesis 02, she's wrong, too aggressive, too perfect. If she ever finds Lyra, she may try to replace her. Lyra must never find this place unless I'm gone. If you're hearing this, my daughter, I'm sorry. The recording ended. Silence filled the lab. Lyra wiped her face. Tears she didn't know were falling. I never got to say goodbye, she whispered. Threx placed a hand on her shoulder. He loved you. He believed in you. That's why he chose you to carry the code. Lyra looked at the broken pod again. What if I'm not the right one? What if I'm not enough? You are, Threx said softly, because you choose your path, not the code. They searched the lab for more information. In the final room, they found a message sent from Earth before it fell. Warning, Union forces tracking Genesis signal. Location must be changed. Possible leak in security. Genesis 02 suspected. Threx looked at her. She may have told them where you are? You think she wants to find me? I think she wants to be you. Lyra stood tall, then let her come. Back on the ship, Lyra sat in silence as they took off from the moon. Her hands were no longer shaking. The truth was heavy, but it gave her strength. She wasn't just a survivor. She was a creation of love, purpose, and danger. And now she knew. The truth. Somewhere in the stars, a mirror version of her was hunting. But this time, Lyra wouldn't run. She would face what was coming and protect the future her father died for. Asterisk. The stars outside looked quiet, but inside the ship, war was coming. Lyra stood in the weapons room, staring at her reflection in the dark metal wall. Her face looked the same. But she wasn't the same girl who had cried in chains at the auction. That girl was gone. This Lyra had seen death. Had faced truth. Had survived. Now she would fight. Threx entered, carrying a small box. He placed it on the table and opened it. Inside was a sleek black suit. Light armor, human-made. Her father's design. This belonged to Captain Mercer, Threx said. It was made for someone fast, smart, and fearless. Lyra ran her fingers across the suit. It was light but strong. Will it fit? She asked. It will, Threx replied. It's in your blood. As Lyra suited up, alarms suddenly rang out through the ship. Alert, the AI warned. Hostile signal detected. Unidentified ship approaching at attack speed. Threx turned to the screen. His face hardened. It's her. The screen showed a dark ship, a perfect match of their own, but sharper, faster, designed for killing. Genesis-02. She had found them. How did she track us? Lyra asked. Threx's voice was low. She's linked to you. The signal between you is like a shadow. So we're connected? Yes, like twins. But she wants to erase the original. Lyra stared at the enemy ship. Then she find I'm harder to kill than she thinks. Threx moved quickly to the control panel. We can't outrun her. Our engines are slower. Then we make a stand, Lyra said. He looked at her, surprised. You're sure? Yes, we set traps. Use the terrain. Fight smart. Threx nodded. There's an asteroid field near Solara's orbit. Lots of debris, old wrecks, metal storms. Perfect for defense. Let's do it. The ship turned sharply, heading for the field. As they entered, metal chunks floated like silent ghosts. Dead satellites, broken fighters, lost memories of old wars. Lyra moved through the corridors, placing signal jammers and charge triggers. Threx armed the forward cannons. They had minutes. She was here, the enemy. Ship burst into the field like a beast, sharp, silent. It didn't fire. It just followed. Then a voice came through their comms. Her voice? Lyra. It was calm, almost kind. You don't have to die, Genesis-02 said. Give up. Let me take your place. We can end this. Lyra pressed the come button. Not giving anything to a fake? I'm not fake, the voice replied. I'm improved. You were the test. I am the final version. No, you're just a copy with no soul. Silence? Then the enemy ship charged. The battle began. Threx fired. The cannons. Metal debris exploded across space. Lyra triggered the first trappa. Net of magnetized drones slammed into the enemy hull. Sparks flew. But Genesis-02 kept coming. Target locked, the AI said. Brace for impact. The ship shook violently as lasers struck their side. Warning lights flashed. Threx grunted. Shields down to 42%. She's pushing us, Lyra said, trying to corner us. She wants to board, Threx guessed. Then let her. They let the enemy ship dock. Inside the hallway, Lyra waited with her pulse blade in hand. Her heart pounded. The door burst open with a hiss, and there she was. Genesis-02 stepped through the smoke exactly like Lyra. Same face. Same eyes, but colder, sharper, perfect posture. A machine in human skin. She smiled. You're tired. I'm not. You're human. I'm more. You're empty, Lyra said. They charged. Blades clashed. Metal sparked. It was like fighting a mirror. Every move Lyra made. The other matched, but faster. She was losing, but then Lyra remembered something Threx once said. You choose your path, not the code. Genesis-02 fought like a machine. Lyra fought like a person, and people adapt. Lyra faked. A step back, drew Genesis-02 forward, and dropped a flash mine at her feet. Boom! White light. Screaming metal. Genesis-02 fell, disoriented. Lyra jumped forward, blade to her throat. But she didn't strike. Why do you want to be me? Lyra asked. Genesis-02 looked up, eyes burning. because he loved you, your father. He chose you, not me. Lyra stepped back, stunned. You remember him? Yes, she said quietly. His voice, his hands. He called me a mistake. Lyra's heart twisted. Then you're not empty. Genesis O2 blinked. What? You feel? That means you're real. The enemy clone paused. Then suddenly she growled and lunged again. But this time, Threx fired from the hallway. A stun blast hit her square in the back. She collapsed. Unconscious. They locked her in a cryopod. Frozen and safe for now, the ship floated again, damaged but alive. In the medbay. Lyra sat beside Threx. She's not just code, Lyra said. She remembers love. Yes, Threx said, and pain. Lyra looked down. What happens to her now? She's your responsibility, he replied. Your mirror, your shadow, your choice. Lyra nodded slowly. She live. But under watch, Threx stood. You fought well. I didn't fight to win, Lyra said. I fought to be free. Outside, the stars waited. The war wasn't over, but tonight, the human had stood her ground. And she had not been broken. The stars looked different now, not because they had changed, but because she had, Lyra, stood in front of the large window in the command room. Her reflection stared back, same face, same eyes, but no longer the same girl. She was no longer a slave. No longer lost. She knew who she was now. And what she had to do. Behind her, the cryopod hummed softly. Inside it, Genesis O2 slept in frozen stillness, peaceful, dangerous. Threx entered quietly. He didn't say anything at first. He just stood beside her, also watching the stars. She's stable, he said. Lyra nodded. She remembers our father. That means something. Threx glanced at the pod. She could still be dangerous, I know, Lyra replied. But she's also proof. Proof that humans can't be erased or controlled. Not really. Not forever, he looked at her. What will you do now? Lyra took a deep breath. I'm going to speak. They entered the communications chamber. A part of the ship that hadn't been used in years. Threx activated the ancient system. It still works, barely. The AI confirmed. Connection to the galactic-wide network established. Lyra stepped forward, her hands slightly shaking. She would speak not just to ships, but to empires, slaves, outlaws, and rulers, and to any lost humans still hiding in the corners of the galaxy. She closed her eyes, then spoke. My name is Lyra Mercer. I was sold, bought, hunted, but I'm not a pet. I'm not a slave. I am human, and I'm alive. Her voice echoed across space. I speak now to all species who thought we were gone. I speak to those who put collars on necks and numbers on names. I speak for the ones who burned with hope, even in cages. We are not perfect, but we are not yours. We fall, yes, but we rise. You tried to erase us, but you forgot one thing. Humans adapt. In a distant control room, a lizard-like alien captain heard her message and froze. In a slave colony on a cold moon. A young boy with brown eyes looked up from his cell. On an outlaw ship deep in a nebula, a human woman with scars smiled for the first time in years. The message was reaching them, all of them. Lyra continued. I am not alone. There are others, some hiding, some waiting, some fighting in silence. To all humans out there, if you hear this, you are not forgotten, you are not weak, you are fire. A galaxy sees us as pets. But pets don't build worlds. Slaves don't fight gods. We did, and we will again. She ended the message. Silence followed. Then the screen blinked. A small symbol appeared. Then another. Then dozens. Hundreds. Tiny messages from across the stars. We hear you. We are human. We are ready. Threx stared in silence. You lit the signal, Lyra smiled softly. It was always inside us. Just needed a voice. Later, she stood beside the cryopod again. Genesis O2 floated inside still. Calm. Lyra placed a hand on the glass. You wanted to replace me, she whispered. But maybe you were just trying to be seen. She paused, then added, You are? Seen now, but I won't let you take my future. You'll have to earn your own. Threx stood behind her. What happens now? Lyra turned. We build. We gather. We rise. They set a course toward the edge of Union territory, toward old resistance zones. Lost human outposts and silent beacons. The plan was simple: reconnect what the galaxy tried to break, human by human, voice by voice. Star by star, the ship moved. Forward, slow but steady, not running anymore, not hiding. And in every shadow of space, where someone once believed humanity was gone, now they would know humanity was not over. It was just beginning again. Lyra sat in the captain's chair, not because someone gave it to her, but because she claimed it. She looked ahead at the stars, and for the first time in her life, they looked like home.